There's a force inside you right now, silent, invisible, but it's making decisions for you. Who you love, what you fear, when you speak up, and when you stay silent. It remembers everything, even what you forgot. Your deepest traumas, your earliest lessons, all hidden inside one place, the subconscious mind. Scientists say it controls 95% of your life. But here's the twist. You don't control it. It controls you. And the scariest part? It doesn't care what you want. It only cares what you believe. Even if those beliefs are wrong. Even if they're destroying you. Tonight, we dive deep into the part of you that never sleeps. The part that knows you better than you know yourself. Imagine this. You're looking at an iceberg in the ocean. Only 5% of it is above water. That's your conscious mind. It's where you think, analyze, plan. But the other 95% is hidden beneath the surface. That's your subconscious mind. And it's the one in charge. It stores your beliefs, your habits, your emotional triggers. Every word you heard as a child, every punishment, every praise, every trauma. When you get nervous in front of a crowd, that's your subconscious warning you. Danger. You've felt this before. When you fall in love with someone toxic, that's your subconscious saying, "This feels familiar. This feels like home." The subconscious doesn't speak in words. It speaks in patterns, repetition, emotion, association. And here's the chilling truth. Most of your adult decisions are just echoes of childhood reactions, replayed by a mind you can't see. You think you're making choices, but your subconscious made them before you even realized there was a choice. Studies in neuroscience show the brain decides up to 7 seconds before you're even aware of your decision. That means before you say yes, before you say no, before you fall in love, walk away, scream, cry, quit, or stay. Your subconscious already decided. Why did you choose that job? Why do you always fall for emotionally unavailable people? Why do you freeze when you need to speak up? The answer isn't logic, it's conditioning. A child who is punished for expressing emotion learns, stay quiet, stay small. As an adult, they call it introversion. A child who had to earn love with achievements learns, I must be perfect. As an adult, they call it ambition. But these aren't choices, these are scripts, and they're still running. Your subconscious isn't your enemy, but it is a machine built from every experience you've ever had. And it will keep replaying the same patterns until you reprogram it. Powerful part of your subconscious wasn't built in adulthood. It was programmed before you even knew who you were. From birth to age 7, your brain is in a hypnotic state, operating mostly in theta waves, the same brain waves used in deep hypnosis. That means you didn't just learn from your environment. You absorbed it, without filters, without logic, without defense. If your parents fought constantly, your subconscious recorded, love means chaos. If you were only praised when you succeeded, it wrote, I must earn my worth. If you were ignored, shamed, or punished, that became the foundation of how you see yourself today. These are not memories. They're not even beliefs. They're blueprints, invisible instructions on how to survive and how to be. And most of us, we're still operating from those childhood instructions, decades later. You think you're lazy? Maybe you were never allowed to rest. You think you're unlovable? Maybe you were taught love was a reward, not a right. The subconscious doesn't forget. It just hides. In your habits, in your triggers, in your pain. Ever wonder why a small comment can ruin your whole day? Why one look, one word, one silence can send you spiraling? That's not an overreaction. That's a trigger. And triggers are the breadcrumbs. That leads straight to your subconscious wounds. You snap when you're ignored because the child in you remembers being invisible. You panic when someone pulls away because once love meant abandonment. You over-explain, over-give, over-apologize because deep inside you believe, if I don't, I'll be left. Triggers aren't about the present. They're about unhealed pasts that feel just as real, just as raw, right now. And what's worse, we often repeat these patterns, again and again. We attract people who treat us the way we were treated as children, not because we want pain, but because pain feels familiar. Familiar feels safe, even if it's killing us. The subconscious doesn't care about happiness. It cares about survival. And it will repeat the familiar until you break the cycle. Here's the terrifying truth. Most of us are living lives designed by a 6-year-old version of ourselves. But there's hope, because what was programmed can be rewired. Neuroscience has discovered something extraordinary. The brain is not fixed. It's neuroplastic, meaning it can change, evolve, and rebuild, even after trauma. But change doesn't come from willpower. It comes from repetition and emotion. The subconscious learns through pattern and feeling. Just like it learned your pain, it can learn your healing, if you speak to it in its language. That's why affirmations alone don't work, unless you feel them, unless they're repeated in the same emotional state in which the wound was formed. Tools like inner child work, going back and comforting the younger you. Somatic therapy, letting the body release trapped memories. Hypnosis and guided meditation, to access the subconscious directly. Journaling, to uncover hidden beliefs. These aren't tricks, they're the keys to rewriting a life that was programmed in pain. But it takes bravery, because facing your subconscious means facing the parts of you that you were once told to hide. Deep inside you, there is a child who never stopped hoping, never stopped waiting for someone to say, "You are safe now. You are loved. It wasn't your fault." That child still lives in the decisions you make, in the way you love, in the way you run away from love. They show up when you're triggered, when you're scared to speak up, when you shrink to fit into spaces that are too small for who you are. We call it healing, but really, it's a homecoming, a return to the part of you that was exiled. So how do you meet the inner child? You sit in silence. You write letters to the you that was abandoned, blamed, or forgotten. You hold space for their anger, their grief, their tears. You stop trying to fix them and start listening. Because when a child is finally heard, they stop screaming through your adult life. Healing the inner child isn't about the past. It's about freeing your future. Until you meet that child, you'll keep living the same script, with different people, different places, different disguises, but the same pain. Awareness is the beginning of liberation, because what you cannot see, you cannot change. Most people live on autopilot, reacting, repeating, surviving. But once you become aware of your patterns, your triggers, your emotional reflexes, you gain something rare: choice. You begin to pause before reacting. You start to question, is this me or my programming? And in that space between stimulus and response, a new life is born. It doesn't happen overnight. The subconscious doesn't surrender easily. It will fight. It will pull you back into the familiar pain. But every time you choose presence over the past, every time you respond with compassion instead of fear, you rewire a little more. You break the spell, you interrupt the pattern, and most importantly, you reclaim your story. This is not just self-help. This is spiritual warfare against the ghosts of your childhood, against the lies you were forced to believe, against a world that told you you weren't enough. What if I told you you are not broken? You are programmed, and what was programmed can be reprogrammed. The story you've been living, the one written by fear, rejection, abandonment, that story is not the end. It's the beginning. Healing isn't becoming someone new. It's remembering who you were before the world told you who to be. The child who danced without fear, who asked why without shame, who cried loudly and loved louder. That child is not gone. They're waiting beneath the armor, beneath the survival. And every time you choose kindness over criticism, stillness over chaos, truth over silence, you rewrite the script. You don't need permission. You don't need perfection. You need presence. Sit with your story. Trace the scars. Speak what was once unspeakable. And as you do, the ghosts fade, the echoes soften, and the future becomes yours to shape. You were never broken. You were always becoming. And now, you are free to begin again.